Green flag pit stops underway at Chicago. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch have all been on the pit lane. Ryan Newman making his stop now. You see Casey Kane has been in, and David Rudiman in as well, Phil.
David Rudiman comes in from the 4th position. He said the car is better now, the balance is better. Just want to take a little bit of air out of both front tires for the 00, Matt.
And the 14 of Tony Stewart pulls into his box. Watch, he'll pull a little closer to the wall to help the Jackman out on this stop. Chassis adjustment for Stewart. The car was just getting tighter and tighter as the run wore on. They're waiting for about another 40 minutes. When that sun goes down, Ralph, the track will change.
It's going to be just a small air pressure adjustment for the 56 of Martin Truex. A half pound out of the left rear. He was having trouble getting the gas to the ground as he's coming out of 3 and 4. He talked about it with his crew chief, Pat Tryson. They finally made a decision. That's what they decided to do. Matt, 4 tires and fuel, he's away.
Denny Hamlin making his pit stop, and here's Jimmy Johnson. The last time around, he was going to come down pit lane, but he missed pit road. He will make his stop at lap 94. Gordon coming in as well. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Jeff Gordon said, I don't want a balance change. I just want a little bit more rear grip. They're going to go down on the track bar once again. 1 full round for Jeff Gordon trying to get that rear grip. Matt.
And McMurray tried staying out to lead a lap. Both he and the 48 of Johnson on pit road. The 48 was edgy at the beginning of that run. Chassis adjustment already completed. Meanwhile, the 1 of McMurray, he said his car was just way too tight on that run.
Right around lap 90 when this cycle of stops began.
And the 1's your leader because the 48 missed pit road. Let's see if we can see the 48 when he comes down. He misses it fairly dramatic. He is all but sideways here. Here he is trying to get down pit road on his first attempt. As he comes around, look at this thing.
Rear brake, way too much rear brake.
So much rear brake. When he jumped on that thing, he was sideways. He has to go again. So everything that he had over the 1 car, he lost right there. And when they come down pit road, now as it cycles through, the 1 car becomes your leader.
See, and when you're turning like that, you've got too much rear brake. That's exactly what happens. The car just jumps sideways.
And we saw it last week at Daytona. Those guys run their brakes, and when they started down pit road, they would almost adjust their brakes so they could get on pit road and then readjust their brakes while on the racetrack. As he started down, it's hard to explain to somebody with a road car how drastic this is and how much you can adjust the way a car drives just by turning that knob and setting the front end and setting the weight of the car on the front tires, or having those rears lock up, just like on a bicycle when you slam on the brakes on a bicycle when you were a kid and the rear would slide out from under you. That's what that feels like.
And that cost Jimmy, that right there cost him about 6 or 7 seconds on the racetrack. That one little miscue.
The lead for Jimmy Johnson was 2.2 seconds prior to him missing pit road. He rides 3rd right now. Jamie McMurray is the race leader. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Jamie McMurray continues to lead the LifeLock.com 400 at Chicago, and while we were away, he put Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch 1 lap down.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Harvick's car is wicked loose right now. That thing is all over the racetrack.
Back in the 6th position, Carl Edwards. He has looked good here this evening, and with that, we bring you tonight's Aflac Trivia Question. Aflac Insurance can help cover out-of-pocket expenses that major medical insurance does not. Now the question, the winning driver of each Sprint Cup Series race receives 185 points. In what other ways can a driver receive points?
You want the answer now?
No, we don't want the answer now. Where's that tape Larry was working with down there at the torque car earlier?
I thought this was a true and false question.
Well, we know multiple choice is the only thing that works for Kyle.
Yes.
Talked about the fact that Jamie McMurray was able to go around both Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick. You see these two on track running 27th and 28th.
I'm telling you, man, that 29 car is as bad as it gets when you look at a race car on a mile-and-a-half racetrack being loose.
Here's how you get extra points. If 185 for winning, you get extra points for driving. for driving your butt off like Kevin Harvick is doing right now, because he is up on the wheel left and right all over that steering wheel.
What's he saying about it, Phil?
Adam, he's saying 3 words: sideways, sideways, sideways. That's all Kevin Harvick has said, Ralph.
Well, Kurt Busch said, I want a major change. This thing is really loose. So they did wedge, track bar, air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. And now, guys, he says it's even more loose.
Martin Truex Jr. running good tonight in second. You see him in and around those 2 cars we just talked about. And right behind Truex, Jimmy Johnson. That would be the battle for third.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Johnson right now is the fastest car on the track. And so they're making the adjustments the right way. He lost a lot of ground, but right now to the leader, he's only 2.5 seconds back, and after that pit stop, he was over 4 seconds. So he's making up some ground on these guys.
Hard to believe Johnson's riding third after missing pit road on a cycle of green flag pit stops. A testimony to how good the car was prior to that. And here he goes to the inside of Truex for the runner-up position.
And you know, it's funny, we've seen some mistakes from these guys that we don't normally see from the 48 team. You know, mistakes on pit lane and things like that. They're obviously the performance on the racetrack is still been great, but just a slight mistake like that. Fortunately, it happened early in the race, you know, and not late in the race.
Tomorrow afternoon, TBS, the Atlanta Braves and New York Mets doing battle in the National League East. You can see it at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Watch the 43 car here. It gets a little bit up, a little bit, boom, just a little in the wall. And you know, actually, there's been a lot of cars like that. I saw a little chink in the armor in the 16 car. And a couple other cars I've seen just some scrapes on the right rear.
Allmendinger looked good early tonight, was running inside the top 10. He's right now in the 16th position. And the Fords, who at one time had 4 cars inside the top 10, now have 2. Carl Edwards leading that brigade.
Yeah, Biffle's kind of slipped back a little bit. He's sitting back in the 10th spot right now.
Showed you Martin Truex Jr. racing a moment ago with Jimmy Johnson for second. Just behind those guys, the battle for fourth. You see in the high lane there, David Rudiman, and right behind him, Jeff Gordon. The back portion of the top 5.
Yeah, watch 29. 29's not even racing for the lucky dog at this point. Because those leaders are just knocking, and you know, they're so hooked up right now, and they're putting cars a lap down. A new car's going a lap down almost every lap.
24 cars on the lead lap right now.
And this is, you know, you talk about how competitive Sprint Cup racing is. That's your last week's winner. That 29 car is your last week's winner, and led down there and ran up front.
And your points leader.
Yeah, and your points leader, and dominated. And here he is, a lap down, you know, 100 laps into the race and struggling. And that's how competitive this is. You can be on top of the world one day, 1 week in this sport, and the next week they don't even talk about you.
Very, very humbling business.
Very humbling.
It doesn't take long. Jamie McMurray started on the pole tonight. It took him until lap 93 before he took the lead, but he's out front now.